cups this morning. Just to kind of recap you a little bit on what 1 million cups is we're basically just a group meets every week, Wednesday mornings here at 9 o'clock. We'll normally have two startup companies present their business for 6 minutes, and they'll have 20 minutes of Q&A after that. So our goal is to help these local businesses, these businesses within the communities, to help further them in their business. So we'll go ahead and get started this morning. My name is Brad Post. I want to introduce you to a few people. Back here is Baron Ryan in the good-looking white shirt. Everybody say hi to Baron. We've got Dustin back here with the best beard in the room, right here. We've got Ben back there in the yellow shirt looking, he's got maybe the second best beard. And then, of course, your own Tim Vickers back here. Everybody say hi to Tim. Shout out. But let's go ahead and get started this morning. We have two companies presenting. The first one is Travel Chicks, and I'm going to introduce Kenda, not Kinda, pronounced Kenda Wilson, the founder of Travel Chicks. So let's give her a hand as she comes this morning. All right.
Travel was actually one of the things that brought Kenda and I together as friends. We had an insatiable desire to see the world, and we didn't want to put it on a bucket list and do it in the future. We wanted to do it now. And so we began to figure out how to travel now all across the world, and we began to do that. And when we did, we inspired a lot of other girls to want to do it as well. And so when they saw our pictures of and the videos we were doing, they began to ask questions. Hundreds of questions came in about how did you get those tickets? How did you get that price? What did you pack? Where did you go? What should we do? I want to plan a trip as well. And so what we finally decided to do was take all those questions and put it in one place where girls could learn to travel overseas on a budget. And thus Travel Chicks on TV was created. And so what we did was we created some really fun webisodes of places we've been and things we've done to kind of inspire girls to go overseas. And then we did video tutorials of everything from how to bid on Priceline tickets, which has been a big hit, to how not to blow up your hair dryer, to how to pack for a 2-week vacation. So a lot of videos that showed them how to do it. We also added PDFs, with expense calculators, budget examples, trip planning timelines, even a packing list that they can print off and pack themselves. All the things that we couldn't find when we were trying to plan for a trip, or we had to search for, we put in one place for girls to find. And then finally we also did saving trips for girls, how to save before a trip, how to save during the trip, and then safety tips for women on when you're going overseas as a woman, certain things that you need to know about safety.
I think what Christian forgot to tell you during those little webisodes, since she was in video production a lot of times, I'm actually the one that gets on video, and if you saw, that was one with the electricity exploding. And if you go on our website and you actually watch that, if you listen closely, you will hear a video producer in the background saying, "Go ahead, Kenda, flip that switch, it won't electrocute you." Every clip, it's becoming sort of a pattern that I'm noticing, but it gets more people to watch it. So she's a genius with the video production. I apparently am really good at blowing things up overseas and causing major traffic jams, which is coming up in next week's episode. Just a little plug right there. Okay, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our revenue model and our current status, where we are as a company. We launched the website almost exactly 1 year ago, so we can kind of look back now and say, okay, where are we? Our revenue model, we're set up on something called affiliate links. Now with affiliate links, it simply means we have links all throughout the site. If you see right here, Priceline Save Your Own Price page, that's an affiliate link. It's a little different than a click-through ad or than a pay-per-click ad or pay-per-view ad. With an affiliate link, it means if someone clicks through that link and purchases whatever we're recommending, then we get a cut of it. So this is one of our most popular pages. People search for it all the time. It's how to bid for tickets on Priceline. We've had people save a lot of money on this. It shows you step by step and a video tutorial in it. So if you go to this site and then you click through, you pay the same amount for your ticket, but we get a small cut of it. From some of the things that have happened the past few weeks, we're actually looking at changing our revenue model just a little bit and tweaking it. But for right now, we've got affiliate links from the entire site. People have pretty favorable reactions to this. Most people don't mind that we do this throughout the site as long as we actually believe in the product and don't recommend some weird stuff to them. Okay, where are we now 1 year later? This is looking at kind of where we've been and where we are now. If you look, it starts mapping in about September, and this is our uptick in traffic. Now, there's not an exact correlation between the traffic and our revenue, but it is, there's a pretty strong correlation. So if we look at it, we can see that obviously traffic's going up, and we look at that and we say, well, why is that happening? What are we doing right and what are we doing wrong? One thing is Google traffic. From the very beginning, we decided this was going to be based around search engine optimization, and you can see we were doing pretty terrible at that at first. One reason was we were getting penalized by Google, but the other reason, if you'll notice about March, this is where we actually learned how to optimize our web pages for Google. It's kind of important if you base your whole strategy around that. So after we learned how to do that, it started going up. So that's kind of been a rising tide for our web traffic. Also, how many of you guys are on Pinterest? Really, like 3 of you? Okay, well you guys are helping us out, thank you, because this right here is crazy. We actually have one pin going viral, and one picture has caused about 10,000 people to visit one page on our site over the past week and a half. We didn't see that coming. It cost us 99 cents to do it, and we're trying our best to replicate it, because that would be awesome. So we didn't see that coming, and we're actually using it to tweak our revenue model just a little bit. But thank you, Pinterest, and that 99-cent pin. Because this has happened, it's probably a little inflated for the future unless we can figure out how to do it again, and then we're going to take over the travel industry. So that's kind of where we are now for Travel Chicks, and we'd love to kind of open it up, and if you guys have any questions for us, if you want to throw our way, we would love to answer them. We are ready.
So, what made you want to jump off the cliff and say, we're going to do this? What was was there a single event that said, oh, this is a good idea, we should do this, or was it several things over time?
It's more of a hobby that became a business. We couldn't find, researching, I had to go to 10 to 15 sites. One site for how to fit a backpack, one site for learning about exchange rates, one site for learning about buying tickets. And also we didn't see any, we haven't touched on webisodes much, but we didn't see any websites, or not websites, I'm sorry, we didn't see any TV shows that were talking about women traveling across Europe for next to nothing. We just didn't see it out there. And so we were getting ready to go to Ireland at the time, and we said, hey, if we're going to be in Ireland anyway, let's take a video camera, let's video this, why not make a business out of it? So that's kind of how it
If I start traveldudes.tv, can I write off all my trips to Europe?
There is a Travel Dudes website already. It's a pretty popular site actually, and about half of our web traffic to Priceline are males. So we welcome you. Actually, 2 of our interns this fall are going to be guys, so that should be interesting. We welcome you, Randy. Come as a travel dude. We will help you.
It's actually Randy and I that are the interns this fall. So how much would the trip to, like, say, Europe, so you said for next to nothing, how much did the trip to Europe cost, how long was it, and kind of break that down?
Okay, yeah, I love doing this because that's a misconception that people have, and they say, we can't go to Europe, it's got to be at least $5,000 to $10,000. The price to Europe is on a spectrum. You can go almost as cheap as you want or as expensive as you want. I think I have it on the slide here. Yes, we do. Here's what the trip to Europe cost us. 2 weeks in Europe, we went across France, Switzerland, and Austria, and we decided not to go the cheapest route, actually. This is us renting a house in southern France and in a very nice apartment in the middle of Paris by the river. And it was $1,100 for lodging, transportation, and the plane ticket. We could have done that cheaper. I wanted to do it on the cheap and do it for about 600, but Christian said, it's Paris. Stop it, Kendall. Do you want to comment about that?
Yeah, no, and that was the misconception. Like you're saying, that's why we did this, is because girls felt like they could not afford to go overseas. You know, especially if you're a single girl, a lot of times you're saving money for things, you're, you know, paying for your own house or an apartment, that type of thing. And so we wanted them to know you don't have to wait for years and years to see the world. You can go now. And we came up with a way to do it, and so that's what we're doing. We're sharing how to do it with them.
It's like a cable bill class. I mean, this is doable, I think. This is doable for a group.
So you mentioned the business model is shifting. You want to talk about where you see it going?
Oh yes, I see it going somewhere else better, definitely. The issue that we found is for affiliate links, you have to have very active web traffic who are specifically looking to purchase them. With this, we have 10,000 people in a couple of days coming on our site who aren't necessarily looking to purchase, so we've made nothing off of that. So what we're looking at is, and I brought these spoons for a nice little demonstration. What we're looking for is a way to capitalize off that. So we're looking at pay-per-view, paper cost per impression ads, which would, the passive traffic that's coming, we would capitalize on that and still get the affiliate links. So basically with our revenue, I heard the analogy once that if you want to fill a pool with water, you can do it with tablespoons, or you can do it with buckets, which I thought it would be better just to have a giant spoon representing that. So right now I feel that we have a couple of kind of medium-sized spoons, the affiliate links. It's more than a cost per impression ad. We get a few dollars every time that they purchase something, but it's not a huge amount. And it's not really increasing exactly with the web traffic, the passive web traffic. So I think we should add in a way to capitalize on the passive traffic with the ads. And then we're also looking at possibilities of some way to get some big spoons in. So is there anything that we can sell that people really need that we can put on the site? But it won't be just to sell stuff, something they actually need. Does that make sense? So we're trying to think of a combination that would take advantage of both our active shoppers and then just the passive traffic that's coming through to watch our webisodes.
I have a question here. Yeah. You mentioned Travel Dudes. Who are some of the other competitors that you have in this space, and how are you differentiating yourself?
Okay, no, that's a really good question. There are a lot of travel blogs out there, and a ton of them. And the differentiation between us and all the travel blogs, and the girls who are just blogging about their travels, is we do have all the interactive PDFs and the webisodes. They're not filming the travels, they're not offering all these tools, and that's really, we have from start to finish. If you click on our planning page, you can go down the line knowing absolutely nothing, and go through all the, download everything, go through all the planning tools, and know how to get to Europe and go across Europe. That's something that they simply don't have. As far as competitors for someone who would offer all of that, good old Rick Steves. That's the thing, is Rick Steves is out there, and he has a better site than we do right now. But it's tailored at a middle-aged and middle-income audience. And you do not. Have you guys watched Rick Steves' show? Right? You guys watch that? He's not couch surfing and staying in hostels. He's just not doing it. So he's our closest competitor as far as setting up the site correctly, but he's hitting it in per segment. So we want to be like the young single female Rick Steves. Is that working for you? Are you picturing that?
If there were one or two things from a business standpoint that you'd most like to be able to bring into the business now, what would those one or two things be?
I think you said, what are one or two things we'd like to bring into the business now?
Yeah, one or two things that you would most like to acquire to help build your business.
I think. Okay. One thing that people ask us for over and over is, what do we do in a specific city? And that is the hardest thing for us to put together, because it requires a lot of knowledge and it requires an immense amount of work. So one thing that we're looking for is teaming up with other travel bloggers or other interns or girls and compiling all of that information. At the beginning we said we would never do that because it was such a massive amount of work, but people ask us for it over and over, and if we really want to build the site to help them, that's what we need to have. So we're working on teaming up with girls who have been to all these places and can write us information on 1 or 2 pages and get that. It's probably 200 to 300 web pages we need to put together for that. And that's what we're working on right now. every day.
Kenda, have you ever thought about leading trips?
Oh, yes, we just did a test run of that across Europe. We took 5 girls. And again, that's one thing that we said we would never do, but people keep asking us for. We've looked at it. The problem is liability. It's not really infinitely scalable like we like. And third, you're taking people across Europe and they have personalities, and some of them, those personalities don't mesh with yours, and it's so many issues for a computer programmer like myself. Would you like to comment on that? You know, we all came back, but I will say we did that because we did a test run. Honestly, we lost a girl within an hour of landing in Paris. We lost her in Paris. But go to our site. We teach you how to live.
We did try that, and actually, I loved it. I had a great time doing it. We brought 4 girls with us just to give it a try, and it went great. They loved the trip, and honestly, they brought a ton of more viewers to our website because of it, because of course they're posting all the pictures and all that type of thing. So it actually went really well. I've looked more into that part of the putting together groups, and it actually looks like it could be a very great idea as I've been doing the research. So we are still in talks about this, and we will continue to be in talks about it.
It's a big legal issue, and we need to set that up correctly if we're going to do that for liability. But yes, we did have a good time. The girls were all amazing.
So you mentioned the specific city is what some people want.
Yes.
How hard would it be, or have you guys explored the idea of picking like the top 5 destination cities and just really wrapping around just those and just marketing, like go to Paris, exactly, and then people are like, Paris, and you have like a whole, I guess, section of the page or something dedicated just to Paris?
We actually have that up already for like Paris and Rome, and probably about 10 cities, I would say. That works really great for girls who are already on the site. For our, long tail search engine optimization, it really helps to have the small cities as well, if we can, because it's not as competitive as an arena for those key terms. So ideally, we'd like to have a lot more than just Paris. Paris is so competitive, we can't rank on it yet.
Are you guys ever going to have, like, instead of just going to certain cities, like maybe trips that are built around certain events that happen at different parts of the world at different times, like Carnival in Brazil, or like the Running of the Bulls? Like if somebody wanted to like do that for like a week and base it around that event, like give them an itinerary to know like what's around there, what are things happening at that time, and kind of do that. You ever do anything like that?
That's actually a great idea. I mean, I know like we tend to kind of plan trips around things that are going on or events, so that's an excellent idea to put on the website. So that's a great suggestion.
Back to what you're saying about Paris being really competitive and having some smaller cities in there. I was listening to NPR yesterday, and there's a guy who has a travel business where he based his trips on like the least visited cities around the world, just for that I guess experience of going, okay, I've been to a really cool city that nobody knows about, and I don't know, have you looked into that, like the polar opposite of just saying, hey, we'll take you places that maybe nobody in the U.S. even knows about, maybe popular in Europe or somewhere else, but I heard that yesterday on the radio and thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, no, that is a good idea. We've noticed that girls, especially if they haven't traveled before, which a lot of our demographics are hitting girls that haven't traveled before and want to travel. Most girls have an idea of a place they want to go, like London or Paris, or specific places that they've always dreamed about going. So that's actually one of the reasons we hit those main cities first, even ourselves traveling to those places, is so that we could help them get there. I think once someone gets their feet wet, then they're ready to go to those other cities. So that is a good idea, like after we cover some of the major cities, to kind of go in that direction for that small niche. But in general, I think at the beginning, girls want to hit some of the main places that they've always heard about or always dreamed about going at.
Okay, so is making a travel business your first passion, or is traveling with your friends and having really unique personalities that are great on film, is that your first passion? Does that make sense? Because one is, there's an entertainment route that could go where there's a television, you become a popular vlog and you get on TV or whatever, or the other is, you hear what I'm saying? And I'm just wondering, I'm just wondering about what you're thinking about.
Life goals, is that? Oh, now we're getting into deep stuff. Christian comes from a television production background, so that's her passion. She's there's a national teen Christian show she was the producer for. So that's her passion, and my passion is startup companies and websites and entrepreneurship. But we both love travel, so I think we had different first passions, and travel kind of worked its way into that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, because for me, it was more the actual travel and seeing the places myself. And so that, like I said, that's kind of why it became a hobby. It was a hobby first and kind of turned into something because we had so many questions coming our way about it that we wanted to help other girls be able to travel too.
Yeah. So what is the thing what's your biggest hurdle you have to overcome in the next 6 months or a year? What's the thing that kind of freaks you out, keeps you up at night, scares you, could ruin this whole dream? To be positive.
Okay. I would say what keeps me up is the revenue model, and I still feel there's one key missing. Because we either need something that has a pretty high profit margin that we're selling on here, and a pretty high absolute value that we're selling it for, or we need to have something that hooks people in so much that it increases traffic 10 times more than it is right now. Like, I feel there's some switch that we're missing. It's a good website, and in 5 years we'll be making good money from it, but we're impatient and perfectionists, and I feel there's one key missing, and if you guys know what that is, you should talk to me, and we would love you so much for that.
So I just had another question. First of all, I just want to say I came in a little late. I didn't hear your presentation, but this sounds so awesome. So I just want to say I think it's cool. And so my question is, do you guys offer any kind of incentives like to travelers? Like, okay, like if girls start booking trips with you on a regular basis, like because the more posts you have, the more video, the more stuff of girls that went on the trip that were like, this is great, and everything was good, and I was safe, and we're having so much fun. I mean, that's what the new girls are going to look at to be like, oh, okay, it's safe for me, they're having fun. And so have you thought about doing kind of incentivization where they can go over, and if they like do a video blog or any kind of at these different locations, like if they do it all throughout every day or whatever, and they post this to your website, they get any kind of discount or anything, so you can build this huge video library.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and we've actually looked at setting up some sort of Facebook contest or something to get people involved, sort of like a game across Europe or something. Or we've been here, we actually hid some things at some different locations in Paris and at a bookstore right now. And so we said, if you go here, take a picture of it, we'll send you this. So we're putting together something like that. As far as incentives, we would have to offer some sort of reward because we're not actually booking trips for them right now, but we do have general incentives just from booking on our site. We have coupons and discount codes to try to get them to us. But to try to expand it past there and offer incentives to get people in, that's one of the things we've been talking about. So hopefully, I think that would be a great idea.
I just think it'd be cool if you had, because if you've been to these places before, like the three of you, knowing what are the areas they're going to be in, what they're going to experience, like even setting up some sort of stuff like a scavenger hunt type thing where you're really making it fun for them and they feel like they're going to have like a separate thing going on at the same time. They can upload and Instagram and all that. I mean, I think that would just really explode all that stuff, and they would feel like, hey, like I'm doing this other thing too, and then you guys can marshal all that to grow your exposure.
I think that's a great idea.
If you already covered this in your presentation, I'm sorry, I came in late too. So you have this really good idea, and you're like, oh, we should turn this into a business. And probably everybody in here has at one time or another gone, I have a great idea, we should turn it into a website. So you have the idea, and now you have the website. So when did it turn into the actual building of a website how many nights and hours did you have to go over? What is this website going to look like? How do we don't get too broad? Just kind of, what was that time frame? What were some of the hurdles? And then lastly, are you actually building the website? Are you outsourcing this? Okay. So I answered the second one. So the first question.
Are you asking how many hours?
Well, I don't want to know the actual amount. I'm just wondering, what was the time frame of saying, here's a great idea, to we actually have a website up and running?
We had the idea a week before we went to Ireland. 2 years ago, we took our iPhones to Ireland, got a bunch of really bad footage that first time, really shaky footage, came back, started building the website, doing a lot of lynda.com courses, and it took a little longer than a web programmer would have taken. I'd say about October, we had about 50 web pages to where we could actually make the site go live. Then that next spring, we launched it officially. So it was a good year of kind of playing around with the idea, putting it together, and writing the content, and doing all the interactive PDFs and stuff. There was a lot of content that went into it. So about a year of kind of playing around with it, and then it went live exactly 1 year ago. It's been a few hours, a lot of coffee meetings, a lot of coffee meetings.
Okay, and then our last question for you is, what can we, the 1 Million Cups and Tulsa community, do to help you move forward?
Well, one thing you've already done is we love hearing the ideas from people, and if you have any more, we would love to hear those. We do have openings for either interns or just partnering with people who have traveled and would love to provide content for our website. We have that as well. Or if you'd like to travel with us as a travel dude, come for us. But no, just really, if any input that you have, and if you know anyone who's getting ready to travel, send them over to our site, because everything on the site is free. It's free information. So you don't feel like a salesperson, because it's free. It's good stuff to help them. So send them over to our site and chat with us later if you have ideas. We'd love to talk to you.
All right, let's give a hand for TravelChicks.tv. All right, well, once again, if you weren't here at the beginning, welcome. Thank you for being here this morning. We do have some seats sprinkled among those who are in the chair, so if you would like a seat, then please help yourself here. We have more slides that, oh, hey, look at that. You have more male than female traffic? That's really interesting. Okay. Those were not my slides, obviously. If you'd like to keep up with what we're doing at 1 Million Cups, to know what presenters are presenting each week, and to know all the announcements and have the links for all the announcements, then just send an email to tulsa@1millioncups.com with the subject line newsletter, and we'll put you on our newsletter. We send it out every Monday. And now for this week's announcements. Cultivate 918 is tonight. How many of you have been to a Cultivate 918 event before? Okay, so you know it's worth it. It's going to be at AHA Tulsa. Dustin Curzon is leading it, right?
It's going to be awesome.
Yes.
It's going to be the best one ever.
It's going to be the best one ever, so you won't want to miss it. Civi, which is a 1 Million Cups Tulsa alum, has launched Launch Leader, which is an exclusive community for entrepreneurs, by entrepreneurs. So it's kind of like 1 Million Cups, but it's online, and it's on Facebook, so look for it and join the group. The Forge has open workspace available. You can rent at a subsidized rate per month. So if you are a growing company and think, okay, I'm done working in my second bedroom or having people come over and work in my garage, and you want to have a more official workspace, then go to theforge-tulsa.com and fill out an application for that. Get in the Ring applications are due this Friday. This is a national startup competition. Let's move on. I've already announced that before. Endorsed by Dave the Man Berlin. His Reps for Vets. It's at 9 a.m. on Saturday, August 23rd, and it's a way to. Dave, tell us a little bit about what we're doing.
Basically, we're going to be raising money for a local nonprofit organization here in Tulsa, the Veterans Treatment Corps. So we've got some celebrity fitness trainers. We've got Danny Cahill, The Biggest Loser, and Georgiana Johnson from Extreme Weight Loss. They're going to be coming out. We're going to be doing a big military-style formation, static training, circuit training workout. It's $10, and all the proceeds go to Veterans Treatment Corps. So we'd love to have you guys out. I have flyers if you guys need them.
Okay, terrific. I'm so glad that I had you explain that because it would not have been really as good if I'd done it. And then, Dustin, get ready because I think that you're next. Yeah, tell us about the video help that we need, Dustin. Number one beer in the room. Dustin Cruz on the room.
We were discussing back there the criteria for a proper beer. I'm lacking in certain areas. Leaf, one of those. So I'm working on it. Anyway, so you probably have all seen this little camera that sits over here. So we film every week and we put them on YouTube so that people who aren't here can either watch them, or people who want to present can go and look at other ones. It's a really big pain because we have to film it and we have to put it on YouTube and all this sort of. So if you know someone, or if you are someone who likes to do video stuff and you want to kind of sponsor 1 Million Cups in that way by helping us with the video, we'll give you a shout out, put you on the website, do just like we do for coffee, things like that. So if you would like to provide that service or know someone who would, come chat with me afterwards, and I'd love to talk with you.
Well said, Dustin.
Also, you can come to Cultivate 918 tonight. It's going to be fun.
Thank you, Dustin. Okay. And now on to our second presenter. This presenter is out of Springfield. This is 2 weeks in a row that we've had a presenter who first presented in Springfield and now is coming to Tulsa. They are Advantage Pro Sports. Their first product is a race belt used in triathlons, and I'll let Brian tell you more about that and what's coming next. So let's give it a hand for Brian Mansker and Advantage Pro Sports.
There we go. Hi guys, I'm Brian Mansker. I invented a race belt for triathlon through the patent process. It's taken us about 3 years to get to the point of what we're doing. This race belt, we actually invented it because my son is one of the top runners and triathletes in the country. We just actually got back from the track and field national championships, where he finished All-American in the 3,000 and 1,500. I was teasing him. I said I didn't think I could get all his medals on it. He proved me wrong. And all this started as a concept. He came out of the water actually in one of the Iron Kids triathlons in Oklahoma City, had a fuel belt, which is my largest competitor. Owner's a great guy, but still my largest competitor. And was fumbling around in transition with his race belt. And we left that race, and at the national level, it's not like you can help your kid. You just have to stand there and watch him suffer until he figures out what to do and how to do it. And so we started as a concept, and this is my very first prototype. I went and got an inner tube and took to a sewing shop, and I put some neodymium rare earth magnets inside of it, and it worked. So that was kind of my very first, and I thought, you know what, this is awesome, but it looks like Bubba Gump made this in his garage, and pretty much did. And so then we went to designing and developing a little more. As you can see, we got some different magnets. We used the female side. We filled it with epoxy. That thing weighed about 10 pounds. It was so heavy. It was so heavy. But again, it was about developing that proof of concept. And so once we had that, then I'm going, okay, I'm not an engineer. Okay, how am I going to design this to make it work in the real world? And that's where our friends come in. And I had a good friend that did all the designing. And last Christmas, best Christmas present ever, I got my patent on the new buckle. These are some injection molds that I had done overseas in China through an international sourcing company. it went awesome the very first time, and then we started having some problems. I don't know if you can notice those, but the good and bad things about China is they will do what you tell them and only what you tell them. And so I asked them, hey, let's do this with ABS plastic, and because, again, I'm not an engineer, so we went ahead, they shipped me 30 belts all cracked. And I kind of, went off and said, hey, why are you just cost me $200 in shipping all these belts. You knew they were cracked before they came to me. Why would you send it to me? Well, that's what you asked us to do. And so we went from, and that's where I had to start learning as an entrepreneur. The tensile strength of ABS plastic is 5,500. Okay, we went to a nylon with 30% fiber and took a tensile strength from 5,500 to 27,000. Okay, as you see now, we had to work through some quality control issues. Okay, that can't happen. There can't be gaps, because when you press in on those magnets, then there has to have equal pressure all the way around. So everything has to be flush. Everything has to be. Most people, don't think about all the steps that it takes to get a product from beginning to end. With that, UPC codes, warning codes, packaging. I wasn't very smart at the beginning. Really, this was actually before we ever got anything out. I can do it from here. Okay. We'll be flying through this. So, we went to this, which showed the magnets, but as you can see, no one there would say magnetic brace belt. Next one. As you can see now, we've got world's fastest race belt, magnetic buckle, 28 grams, gel equipped. We have an actual runner on there. Things we started to get a little better at what we were doing. Then, how the product has been received. Go ahead and click through. We've been in Triathlete Magazine. There's Triathlete Magazine Germany. There's Velo Sports in Spain. There's Triathlete Magazine Canada. This is really interesting. This what's hot in 2013, T1 Pro Race Belt. That's in Japan, and it's one of those deals where I thank God for Google Translate, because who knows what they're saying. I don't do a lot of German, Italy, or Japan. So go ahead and roll through. This was one of our very first expos. This is kind of a weird deal. People wanted to take your picture, and I'm pretty normal. So to have somebody coming up like you're a celebrity, hey, I raced with this. This is so cool. Take my picture. I'm like, okay, that's a little weird. This is the World Championships in Kona, one of my top pros. Okay. Boston Marathon, that was the year of the bombing. Simon Whitfield, Olympic triathlete from gold medalist from that. There's Meredith Kessler, #1 pro in the world right now. Going through. There's Meredith and my son. This was a cool deal. Guy sent me this picture, and I'm like, what's the race? And who is that has that? And the number's a little bit of a giveaway. It's 001. Okay? The #1 pro in the world, Javier Gomez. You just make out the T1 Pro winning the Beijing International Triathlon with it. Okay. Some of our local folks that jump on board and love our products.
All right, we're ready for start questions now.
Okay. Our kids team.
All right, any other question?
I'm going to go ahead and run these to kind of start to show around, and I'll send some others around too.
Brian, what is next for you and why?
What's next? Right now we are working on our distribution. internationally. We have distributors in 11 countries right now. And just before this event this morning, you know, I was actually emailing back and forth with one of my distributors in Australia. Australia is a big key for our company because when it's wintertime here, it's race season there. It's summertime there. So that's kind of a big key. And then continuing to grow our brand.
I got a question. Can you give us a sense? I've got two questions actually. What is this used for? I've never run a triathlon.
Okay.
And how big is this market? How many people are using this type of belt, whether it's yours or somebody else's?
Last year, 1.1 million people did a triathlon in the United States. 9.8 million people did a 5K to a marathon in the United States. They all wear a race number. Okay. Most people are starting to go to race belts because they don't want to pin their jersey number through their $60 Under Armour shirt and poke holes in it. So in the United States, you have 11 to 14 million people that are doing an active race that uses a race number in the United States.
Yeah, in regards to your patent, is it a design patent specifically for race belt, or did you happen to get a utility patent for the latching?
I patented the actual buckle because the race belt was a known product, and in going through that process, I actually used a pretty famous thing. It's called Lathrop and Gage is the patent attorneys that I use. They're one of the largest in the Midwest. They have, you know, in Kansas City, Springfield, all over the Midwest, and so we use them, and it was an interesting journey, the patent process. When, I mean, even to the point of one time, I'm going through and they give you an itemized bill, and they billed me for the time that it took to create the bill. Yeah. And I did call them on that. Hey, come on. Give me a break. You know.
One more follow-up for you. Based on that, since the latching mechanism is patented, have you explored other applications for the latch mechanism?
Well, that's actually a good question because we just started about a month ago a new company under our umbrella that is just for it's Better Buckle LLC, and we met with Bass Pro, and it was pretty interesting because I met with Bass Pro originally to get a race belt in Bass Pro, and they saw the buckle, and the gentleman said, "Hold on a second," and he goes out of the room, and he comes back with a guy from tents, a guy from waiters, a guy from, and they didn't care anything about the belt at all. They wanted to use the buckle in other applications, from hunting applications to fishing applications to, your net holder on the back of your fly fishing vest, you name it. And so we did just start a company to look at that, but we really made sure we wanted to stay focused on what we're doing first, because if this doesn't pay the bills, then the rest of it's kind of for naught. And we have a lot of money invested. We started with an international sourcing company. You heard me say it went good the first time. Well, when I went to place my second order, they doubled my minimum and raised my price. And I kind of had to go time out. I can't raise my price every 4 months when I place an order. And so had to go through a little bit of a change there, and had some good friends that have huge companies that manufacture overseas. So we ended up starting our own factory in China. I worked with directly. I was up at 4 o'clock this morning talking with the factory. And what it did is it cut our costs in half and gave us full control over quality control.
So what is your price point for this belt compared to other race belts right now?
Magnetic belts are $28.95, and then we have the runner's version that has a standard clip, but we also are the only manufacturer that uses a polymer gripper system, and we actually made that for women. Because women, when they wear a race belt, typical women have, and I apologize if I offend you, but they have a little wider hips and narrow waists. So as they run, their race belt ends up about here. Okay? And so, in taking from the hair bands, from everything else, that keeps things in place, why can't we use that? So we're the only company that uses a polymer gripper system, within the belts to keep them in place, and on one-piece slick tri-suits, they work amazing too, so the pros love them also.
So it looks like you got pretty decent recognition by going after the sponsors, the pro triathletes that have done that. Shameless plug, our event, we have ranked in the top 10 in the world for triathletes. She's coming to our event, Jessica Jones-Myers. So I'd be glad to foster that connection to her, so you can shoot her some of your belts over.
Yeah, it's been pretty interesting. One of the ways we grew really fast is by our pros. We actually, because I'm a startup, because I'm new, because we don't have millions of dollars to pay these pros, and I do believe they need to get paid because they need to earn a living, but I just can't do it right now. But what I do is I give them a race belt for every single race they do, and I tell them you can't keep it. Okay? When you're in Dubai, when you're in Australia, when you're in Japan, when you're in Brazil, every race you have a race belt. I'll give you a race belt for every race you do plus some, and give it away after the race. So all of a sudden, race belts are sprinkled all over the world, and people are texting back, hey, what's this T1 Pro? I don't know what it is. I've never seen this before. How can we get them in Brazil? How can we get them in Israel? How can we get them in Japan? Let me tell you, I can fix you up.
What were you doing? What was your profession leading up to this?
I did all the video production work for one of the 50 largest churches in the United States. Made it a little tough when this started taking off because they work on weekends and that's their primary day. I got 2 Sundays a year off. So, I had to kind of get to the point where, I could go part-time with them and then be able to step out. So I did video production,
Have you thought about, or I only saw one of the green models, but do any of them come with pockets for holding goo or sport beans or water bottles, things like that?
I guess I didn't hand around a gel version, but there's one, and maybe it's on one of the other sides, but we have a gel version of the race belt, gel and non-gel version. Meredith Kessler, who's the #1 pro woman in the world right now, she races with a pocket that we designed for her. We're testing with her, because she races with 2 pieces of gum and 1 gel and something else. But she doesn't put her gels in gel loops. She wants it in a pocket. And so we're in the process. We're probably a year away from that. Again, we're still focused real narrowly on what we're doing. But we have prototypes of that. We have designs of that out there. Pros testing right now.
Dovetail into that, because that was part of my question. I use a race belt. I used one this morning, and I ran a marathon a couple years ago, and I solely use it for fuel, for like the pocket. But I use it Monday through Friday to hold my phone, my iPod. So that's what I think. There's a casual runner there that.
Oh, absolutely.
They want a pocket that big.
And one of the things that we're doing, like Spy Belt's probably the biggest pocket manufacturer.
That's right.
Belt, and if I were guessing, your Spy Belt, you have to leave it partially unzipped to make sure your cable goes out. That drives me freaking crazy. And so I'm very, very, practical about it, and we use the product, we race, so when we're designing it to be the best out on the market. I mean, if you feel that webbing, that's the nicest webbing that you'll find anywhere in the industry. And again, that polymer gripper system is awesome because it stays in place, doesn't move around.
You talked a little bit about funding. What has been your funding strategy up till now?
Well, I've had a couple friends that have put in some money, and just a little bit of money. And then I pulled every ounce of money out of my 501, or my retirement, my everything, to start this last factory. But in that, like I said, cut our costs in half, and now we have the runners version on top of because runners don't, no offense to runners, but they don't spend the money that triathletes spend. The triathlete that's going to be on a $8,000 or $10,000 bike with a $2,000 set of wheels doesn't worry about a $28 belt. Runners don't spend that kind of money, and so that's why we wanted to have the nicest running belt also has a standard clip, but still has all the great features, the nice webbing, the polymer gripper system. You know, the numbers are on sliders, so it doesn't matter what size race number you're racing with. You know, it lays flat and comfortable. So we've done that. We've added lines, added colors. You know, we continue to grow what we're doing.
I have a question here. Will you talk a little bit about the personnel that you now employ and what it was like to go from just you to where you are now?
Well, it is still just me. Okay. It is still just me. I have blessed to have a nice large home with a full walkout basement that I've taken over. And you know, we're getting ready to be moving out of there in the next probably 6-8 months. The first employee that we'll probably be employing will be someone who will handle, you know, the shipping and that kind of handling stuff. That stuff I get tired of really quick. But fortunately, with distributors, I'm shipping a bunch of belts all at once, and you know, and because I do sell them on our website, but we have to be full retail plus full MSRP plus full shipping, because you don't want to compete with Tri-Sports and all the retailers, the Amazon, the people that are buying your belts in bulk. And so I do sell some on the website. Some people just want to buy them from me, but mostly I'm shipping in larger quantities to distributors.
T1 Pro, what's the significance of the name?
Well, when you come out of the transition from swim to bike, you know, that's when my son, a lot of triathlons, Ironman doesn't require it on the bike, but a lot of triathlons do. So that first transition from swim to bike is called T1. And so I thought T1 Pro sounded pretty cool, and the .com was open.
Process of finding a distributor, you mentioned that. Was anything surprising or different than you thought about?
You know, distributors are interesting. Here in the United States, distributors have a lot of access to a lot of products, so they're not a lot of times willing to go after one SKU products because they want a line. And fortunately, my product being patented is so different than everything they had. They had 5 versions of the clip versions, and so they were willing to bring us on because of the difference between what we had and what everybody else had.
So as our final question to you, what can we, as 1 Million Cups Tulsa, do to help you make it to the next level?
You know, the one nut that I still have to crack, that I haven't really went after yet, but it's on my radar within the next couple months, is to start looking at big box stores for the runner's version of it. Big box stores don't, you know, carry the magnetic ones because of the fact that not a large enough market for them. But you know, if anybody has any experience or knowledge in getting in front of some of those big box, whether it's Academy, Dick's, you know, Shields, you know, any of those, I'd love to hear some stuff. And then also, you know, the big scaling deal is going to be that buckle, that magnetic buckle, going to use on multiple products. And again, these are all new territories for us that, but you know, having Bass Pro show such interest is very, very encouraging.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Brian's going to stick around if you guys have any ideas or want to chat. Come find him. It's a bittersweet day in 1 Million Cups Tulsa family history today. Mr. Brad Post is retiring. He's moving on to bigger and better things. He helped us found 1 Million Cups a year ago. Was the first guy I talked to about bringing it to Tulsa. So we brought him, imported from Kansas City, a travel mug for wherever you go in all the meetings. I know, we couldn't do it yet. Give it up for Brad. So, officially taken Brad's spot. So Ben, now if you have any critiques, or you guys have jokes you want to share with Ben, you just go see him. If you don't like something I said, you go see Ben. If you want Dustin to shave his beard, talk with Ben. Ben's sort of the point man now. So we'll be here next week, just like always. I know you guys always wonder, are they going to have 1 million cups next Wednesday? Yes, we are. We'll be here. The only time we take off is for Christmas. So thank you for being here, and we'll see you next week.